Hey, welcome back to the Crash Space. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're just about to start the penultimate scenario in our Sinister Motives Magic Protection Expert playthrough, and things are about to get quite sinister. This is Sinister Six. Feels like just about every box you get a multi-villain scenario, and this is the one from Sinister Motives. There are 6 villains in front of us. Hopefully we never have to fight all 6 at once, but they're smaller villains that will kind of dance in and out when we defeat them, hopefully from combat, and things get quite tricky. There's a lot going on in the scenario. There's a lot of setup already on the table. And before it gets too overwhelming, we're going to actually talk about our deck really quickly, because this is the first scenario that I think we have to make some pretty big structural changes to our Magic deck to have a chance, it feels like, in this scenario. So if you want to know more about the deck itself, we did a rundown in the Sandman video at the beginning. It's all timestamped, so if you want to know all our inclusions. But the big thing with this deck is we actually have to take out a bunch of cards. And that is because in this scenario, there is very few to no minions. That is one thing that's going to be a problem, because we are mostly a Change of Fortune deck, and largely we want to be able to defeat small minions with this, with Retaliate and other tricks, to be able to draw cards off of Change of Fortune every round. That's not the case. There's only 2 minions in this entire set. As much as Change of Fortune technically will work off of the villains, we're going to try cutting both of these because I don't think it's going to be as consistent as some of the other tricks we have. On that note, much more importantly, we're cutting 2 copies of Come Get Me Bub, because this card won't do much when, again, there's only 2 minions in the deck that we want to grab. We're also cutting Powerful Punch, and this might go against another problem I'm going to bring up in a second, but this is another card that's really good at hitting minions, so you can draw cards with your Change of Fortune. Now, again, we haven't tested these changes, but we're going to cut these 7 cards for now, because I don't think they line up really well with the scenario. We might revisit them in the final scenario if we can make through this. Now, the other big problem we're going to have, and that dictates some of the changes we made with this deck, is that there's a lot of villains, and we actually have to defeat the villains pretty consistently to push ourselves forward, because if there's too many villains, things snowball really poorly. We're not very good at doing damage, particularly on the early turns. It's not something Protection is really great at. So we're going to change our deck slightly more towards a perfect block deck, and we need to add a bit of cheap damage to our deck to be able to keep up. For that reason, one of the cards that we've added is Preemptive Strike. This is one of my favorite cards. This just is a really cheap card we can hopefully play off the top of our deck. It gives us the energy icon, which we care about for getting that +1 defense on a lot of board states. But it says when a boost card is flipped up, we deny those boost icons and deal the same amount of damage back to the attacking villain. And that can be a lot of damage. That can save us 3 damage. It does 3 damage back, but we just need a bunch of little cheap damage so that with Retaliate and Preemptive Strike, we're doing 5 damage on an attack. And a lot of these villains don't have more than 10 health. So that will help out hopefully a fair bit. We're also playing 2 copies of Hard to Ignore. We are slowly becoming the sort of like perfect block deck, in which we want to block every villain phase, and then ideally by blocking perfectly and taking no damage, we get these other triggers to fire. Notably, our Wave Bracers just upgraded at the end of the last scenario. So this is our campaign card that now says we have +2 defense with Retaliate 1 and Stalwart, which means we start with 4 defense, and we can get that up to 5, 6, even 7 defense, if I'm not mistaken, in the deck. So we can block really well. Our other stats are not very good. We have 1 attack, 1 thwart. So shifting organically to this, basically getting all of our heroes' value during the villain phase, lines up well with what our stat line looks like currently. So ideally, this allows us to do a bit of threat management. As much as Hard to Ignore is only the main scheme and not the side scheme, as much there is a 20 threat side scheme that we do have to deal with. We'll get to that in a second. Now, speaking of the side schemes, and only slightly speaking of the side schemes, this is Containment Strategy. I was so hyped to discover this card in my binder, but unfortunately, it's not the perfect fit for the scenario. This says that you attach it to a non-permanent side scheme, and whenever a hero defends against an attack and takes no damage, you can either remove 1 threat or, again, 2 threat, if they take no damage. Problem is, this 20 threat scheme, it's permanent, so you can't attach that to this, but there are still some really high threshold schemes in this scenario, so getting this down hopefully at some point can make some sense. It's just another way to get more value out of having a good block stat, but a bad thwart stat. This card is probably not the best for the slot, but I haven't tried it yet, so we're going to give it a shot. Now, lastly, and oh my god, am I excited to play this card. I have never played this one before. This is Astonishing X-Men. It comes in for 1, it has 5 threat on it, but it says after an X-Men character defends against an enemy attack and takes no damage, you can remove 1 threat from the scheme. Firstly, that is optional, so you can decide not to fire that if this has the last scheme on it or the last threat on it, because when this is defeated, you stun and confuse each enemy in play. That means every single villain. So if we're in a really bad spot, we just want to leave Astonishing X-Men with 1 threat on it and ideally do 1 good block, and then hopefully get so much more breathing room for the next couple turns where everybody is stunned and confused. As much as ideally we don't have 6 different villains in play, there's still a lot of value here, so excited to play that. Now, that's how we change the deck. I haven't tested this yet, but we're slowly becoming more of a perfect block deck. I think we just have to be very aware that we have to constantly do damage, because if we're not doing damage in the early game, the villains will just pile up, and we need to make sure we're managing the villains in Sinister Six. Speaking of Sinister Six, this is our main scheme, the Sinister Synchronization. We're using all 6 of the Sinister Six villains, and we're using guerrilla tactics, so it's not the biggest deck here. Now, Sinister Six comes in with a whole bunch of treachery, some attachments, a single side scheme, and then we have guerrilla tactics, so it comes in with only 2 minions, and then a whole bunch of annoying side schemes and treacheries as well. Setup says choose X villains at random, where X is one more than the number of players, and put those villains into play. Place the active counter on the villain with the lowest activation order. They're each numbered 1 to 6. And we put the light at the end side scheme into play, the trap side face up. So we're going to roll to pick 2 of these. This will be 1, this will be 6. I'm going to leave them on the table, but for whichever one's not in play, we'll just flip them face down. So the table will be crowded, but it's going to be hard to get around that. 1. So it looks like we're starting with Vulture and Craven. Let me set that up. So our 2 villains we start with, we have Craven the Hunter. There are no expert side for the villains, so you use the same side if you're playing on standard or expert. However, the encounter deck will get worse. So you'll see that a lot of cards that say if encounter, do something instead or on top of whatever is being activated. So Craven comes in with 9 hit points, 1 scheme, 2 attack. All of these villains have the same sort of formatting. They said after they attack and damage you, you have to do this bad effect. So as long as we block or block with an ally or take no damage, then this effect doesn't fire. But Craven says, after Craven attacks and damages you, choose and discard a support or upgrade you control, and then you move the active counter to the next villain on activation order, regardless if the damage goes through. So coming in with 9 health. It says when defeated, they all have the same text here. Remove 4 threat from a side scheme, 7 threat instead if there are no other villains. So as you see, this one side scheme that starts in play and as a permanent has a lot of threat on it, and we have to clear it to largely win the game. So one of the good ways you could do it is by constantly defeating the villains. The other villain is Vulture. Vulture comes in with 7 health, I think the weakest of all 6. Schemes for 1, attacks for 2. After Vulture attacks and damages you, choose and discard a card from your hand, and then you slide this over to the lowest, which means it will wrap around back to Craven. 7 health. Same text on the bottom. This we're going to use for the active counter, so it's going to be on Craven. We'll be sliding that around. Again, we'll have more space in a second, and then we have to look at light at the end. So we start here on the trap side, light at the end. It's permanent, it has hinder 10, so we have 20 threat on it, which is massive. And it says the players cannot win unless they escape, and we don't know what that means exactly. But forced interrupt, when the last threat is removed from the scheme, resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. That brings in another villain. We'll see that in a second. And then you flip this over, and apparently the escape is on the other side. So 7 threat, or 20 threat, excuse me, we have to do. As much as 4 or 7 comes off when we defeat a villain. Back to Sinister Synchronization, if we flip this over, the backside says ambush. Says this special ability, so other cards will tell you to do this. It won't happen on its own. It says, choose a set-aside villain at random, put that villain into play, and place the active counter on it. And in an expert mode, you actually have to add additional threat to light at the end, so you've pushed yourself further behind. Now, force interrupt. If a villain would activate and there's no villains in play, because we've done a good job and defeated all the villains, you do the ambush, and then the activation actually continues. 8 to advance. This is our first main scheme. There is one behind this. Ideally, we don't get there. I think it's slightly worse, maybe. But it starts with technically 3 threat because of our setup stuff with the reputation track. Otherwise, that's mostly it for setup. We're playing with Smear Campaign, Snitches Get Stitches, and then we have 2 Osborne texts to shuffle into the deck. Of course, we're using Standard 3 and Expert. We have to shuffle in randomly one of these 3 community side schemes. So 1, 2 will be the top, 5, 6 the bottom. Looks like we're going to go get involved in a back alley burglary, and we'll shuffle the deck together. Now in our campaign track, before we start shuffling, on the left side, we get to do our good things. So we get another mulligan. We have our aspect advantage. So we have a justice card, a full playset in our deck. On the bad side, though, we have to place an additional threat on the main scheme. We've done that. We've added some Osborne tags. But we also have to search the deck for a minion and put into play. And unfortunately here, we don't have any choices. We have to grab life-size decoy, which is a really interesting but annoying card. This is a minion that doesn't attack. Technically, it does attack, but it doesn't do damage. It has toughness on expert, and this is what I mean, where a bunch of the cards have additional text to make the expert scaling a bit worse. And then engaged player cannot thwart side schemes. So this side scheme light at the end, we have to deal with this thing first, but it's a 5 health toughness, so it really does get in the way. Of course, we're also playing with Public Outcry, which starts on the table. On expert, it has that extra hazard icon in it, so we need to defeat minions and side schemes, which unfortunately 5 health toughness and 20 threat is a pretty rough side scheme. So Public Outcry might actually be around for a minute. Let's shovel all this stuff into the deck. We also do start with Venom. Venom does have another icon on it. So we're drawing 3 encounter cards on round 1, which is pretty rough, but amazing numbers. And as a response, we can do damage to Venom when we start to reveal our 3 encounter cards and start doing damage to, well, firstly, maybe the life-size decoy, but also maybe to the villains. And I do think we have to keep the villains in check. At this point, we just shuffle up and we're off to the races again. We need to make sure we're defeating these villains because we're going to have some problems if they keep hitting the table. Now, I've said this every video, but for our mulligan, we have to remember Ilyana can grab a spell to put it on top of the deck when you flip up to hero mode, and we can play that spell 1 cheaper, let alone any card from the top of our deck. So we're going to try and mulligan with that in mind. Here are our priorities. Hard to tell, honestly. We have to deal with the decoy first before we thwart light at the end. We also have to make sure Sinister Synchronization doesn't get out of hand because we don't want that to advance. So I think we just want to set up as cheaply and as efficiently as possible, and then do a bit of damage to Craven the Hunter and Vulture. If we stun Craven, that means actually the active counter won't move, which that's sometimes good and sometimes bad because that movement of the counter is attached to the activation. And always it's going to be whatever villain has that active counter is the one that's going to be activating against us. I believe for our cards that say like attack the villain, we can choose any villain, but for the cards in the encounter set that say the villain schemes or the villain attacks or whatever, that villain is the one with the marker on it. So we have to always watch out. That thing will bounce around and the counter cards will spawn more villains and move the counter around. So you can't always play around it perfectly. All right, let's draw up 6 card hand size. We have a double mulligan. We start with Venom. We have Magik's Crown. Not the worst card. This card has felt like it's got worse and worse throughout the scenario or throughout the campaign because we start with Stalwart. So getting steady doesn't really matter. So we're playing this just to get the +1 thwart, which brings us to 2 thwart, which is nice. That's actually valuable, but it's not the most important card to set up with. Hard to ignore though, that I do like to set up with. These are the sort of cards, if we get these down and we block every round and take no damage, that does 2 thwart, which is almost all the thwart or all the threat we have to deal with every turn. I'll definitely put this in the likely keep camp. Sorcerer Supreme, okay, very good. Problem is if Craven hits us, we have to discard an upgrade, but this is one of our best upgrades to set up with. Hopefully we draw a double resource. We have a Stepping Disc. This is usually in the maybe camp. Reading on turn 1 if we have 1 attack or 1 thwart. It's not super valuable. I'll put this probably in the no camp. Polaris, also not super useful. Very expensive to set up. We don't really need an ally here, so I'll put that in the no camp. Our 6th card is another hard to ignore. 2 of these is a bit much, but I think we can maybe push it. And so we'll throw these 3 cards out. We don't have a spell yet, but the best case scenario is we get to put, I don't know, Limbo would be good. So we can put a hard to ignore on the top of the deck, play for free. Let's look for some spells. Jocasta is expensive. Exorcism, that's pretty good. I'm actually really surprised that the life-size decoy on the table does not have guard. This seems like it would have guard on it, but it doesn't. So we can go ahead and do some damage to Craven and keep Craven in check. Get that stun probably. We are going to discard this though, because it'll be a spell that we can put on top of our deck. So we're not going to keep any of these. And we have a Stepping Disc. So I don't think we're going to keep any of these cards. Last 3, we have to keep these X-Jet, very expensive. Armor, very good. Giving ourselves Retaliate 2 is nice. That also means the life-size decoy is just going to ruin itself attacking us for the next couple turns. And then we have a Riposte, which is kind of whatever. This is okay if we want to keep it, but often we don't want to keep a card in our hand if we can ignore it. We generally, in Marvel Champions, try and play every card in our hand, just because otherwise we're losing value. And it's back to us. All right, let's figure this out. So I don't want to get this wrong. Life-size decoy says we cannot thwart side schemes. So that still means we can thwart the main scheme, and we probably should. We could attack for 1 with Ileana, attack for 3 with Venom, and the life-size decoy will die to Retaliate 2 if we put down our armor. I think that's a good spot to be. I think then we can risk this being a 3 and then we can try and stun Craven the Hunter so we don't have to deal with the activation. That being said, stun is a bit anti-synergistic because we have 2 copies of Hard to Ignore. So we'll see how many of these we set up, but Hard to Ignore means we actually want to take attacks. So we might not go for the stun. The problem is we want the stun because we need to do damage, and that's our main damaging event. So a bit of ugliness there, but we'll see what we can do. Dealing with 3 minions or side schemes quickly would be great, but good luck us. The deck is like almost entirely in counter cards. There's like 1 more minion, maybe 5 or 6 side schemes. We can't really find those as much as we took out the Come Get Me Bub. So let's set up this hand. So top of the deck, we can put a spell. I think we put an Exorcism, but only if we defeat life-size decoy. So we'll probably put a, well, that's an Exorcism. Sorry, I thought that was a Soul Strike. That's an Exorcism. Okay, I think I was saying Soul Strike. So we actually don't have any burst damage. That's fine. That means we can do 1, 2, 3. We can Exorcism the Sinister Synchronization. But it's actually more likely that we just set up. So we could do like setup. Ooh. Yeah, we're short 1 good card here. So maybe the top of the deck does something if we can play it. We can only put a spell on the top of the deck and we don't really want to. So I think we're not going to use our ability because it is not forced. So our hand is slightly ugly because we want to play 3 of these cards, but Sorcerer Supreme costs 2. So we can only play 2 cards at max unless we throw out the Sorcerer Supreme. So I think the best thing to set up is we have to play Mystical Armor. And if we play Mystical Armor, we have Retaliate 2. So Life-size decoy will defeat itself. Then we'll probably play, I think we would just play Sorcerer Supreme for hand size and hold on to Hard to Ignore. I think that's probably it. So I think we're just going to flip up. Revealing the top of the deck, it's an Exorcism. Okay. So we can play that for 1 to remove 4th thwart. That's actually pretty good. Again, Magik says once per phase, you can play the top card of your deck, reducing its cost by 1, which is really good. And it means we want to play that during the villain phase. So we'll throw out the Riposte for sure to play Mystical Armor. This gives us another Retaliate that does stack. So we're technically Retaliate 2. It's quite nice. We also sometimes have +1 defense, like right now we do in theory, but that might not last. We're going to go ahead and attack for 1. So Life-size decoy loses the toughness, and then Venom is going to attack, doing 3 damage, taking 1. Life-size decoy drops down to 2. So double Retaliate will defeat the decoy. Funny enough, the life-size decoy still attacks, but it attacks at 0, schemes at 0. It will still activate. It doesn't have a dash through it. So cards like Hulk can't thwart, but you actually can thwart at 0 from my understanding. So that's good. So life-size decoy will blow up. This leaves us with this hand. So we can probably just play the Sorcerer Supreme to get +1 hand size. That means we can throw out Heart Ignore to take 4 threat off of this. That's probably responsible. It's a shame to lose both Heart Ignores this early. We also could just play Heart Ignore and an Exorcism and not play the Sorcerer Supreme, which might be better. If we get it confused off the Exorcism, we just have to get lucky. It has to be the card underneath it, which obviously we have no information about that. So I think we're probably set up with 1 Heart Ignore and just hold on to the Sorcerer Supreme. I don't know if we could have played X-Jet on turn 1. I think I'm scared with Craven's Text to commit to an expensive upgrade. So we will X-Jet, play Exorcism at the top of the deck, revealing. Nice, nailed it. Okay. This is Exorcism, remove 4 threats so we can clear this. And if the top of the deck is the icon it is, which is mental or wild, we can confuse the villain. I think I'm going to confuse Vulture because, again, this is going to advance to Vulture. Oh man, we don't have enough table space for this. Apologies, I'm going to put the number of dice on top of the art, so you're not going to see the art too well. Okay, that's fine. Then here, I think we'll set up with a Heart Ignore. So we'll pitch a Heart Ignore for a Heart Ignore. This means if we're blocking and taking no damage, which we should do, we can take a threat off, which hopefully we're only adding 1 threat around, right? We'll hold on to Sorcerer Supreme because it's that good, and we'll pass. So we're drawing up into 5 cards. Clear the area, Stepping Disc. We have another Clear the Area, which might not line up too well. And we have a Soul Sword. That gives us +1 attack and piercing. Top of the deck is a Preemptive Strike, which is perfect. This is exactly what we want on the top of the deck because we can play this and it just does damage if we get a good flip icon. We can technically also leave it there because this says when a boost card is turned face up, not when it would be turned face up. So you can see the boost card before playing this. And of course, Magik allows you to play the top of the deck -1 once per phase. So playing it during the villain phase is a lot of good value. All right, Sinister Synchronization gets 1 threat. Craven the Hunter will now activate against us for 2 and a card. Says if this does damage, choose and discard a support you upgrade or control. So we're going to head and block for 4 with Retaliate 2. And that's it. We'll choose to play this if we see a good icon, I think. So for 1, 2, 3, take 1 for the team. Okay. So this doesn't have text. It just has 1 boost icon. So we're not taking any damage. So do we want to play Preemptive Strike to get it off the top of the deck? I think we do because I don't want to draw this. So we will just play Preemptive Strike. So this just says cancel the icons on it, then deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon. So Craven's going to take 1. Fortunately, we don't have the side tracker here, so we'd have to do it manually with the dice. And then we take no damage. So Heart Ignore takes 1 threat off the main scheme. Yeah, I guess now these clear the area is a bit awkward. And then we do Retaliate 2. So Craven's down to 6. Then Craven's Text will fire, and it just moves this counter over to Vulture. And that should be that. Top of the deck is now Legion coming up. That's good. Now Life-Size Decoy is going to attack us. It attacks us for 0. We do no damage, but Retaliate 2 will destroy the Life-Size Decoy. So now we can take threat off of side schemes. Perfect. We draw 1, 2, 3 encounter cards. So this is going to be pretty bad. We are exhausted too, but Venom can chump block in a pinch if we need to. First card is Drawing Nearer. All right. Don't love it. Not great. We have to flip down to Alter Ego. Hopefully Vulture doesn't activate, but Drawing Nearer is now in play. And it says at the beginning of our turn, we'll discard Legion and add a threat to Pursuit by Past or add a counter. This means when our turn starts, we have to discard Legion and put 1 Pursuit counter there. Here, we're going to use Venom's Text. We need to get rid of Venom relatively soon. So we'll do 1 damage to Venom and deal 2 damage. I think we're going to try and delete Craven. So we'll take 2 to this. Craven is down to 4. Our next card. Surprise. That's probably not good. Hate to hear that from the villains. So Surprise says in expert mode, this card gains Surge. Love it. Cannot be canceled. Resolve the ambush keyword on the main scheme. If no villain is put into play this way, place 3 threats. So that means if all the villains are there. So looking at our main scheme, this says choose a set-aside villain at random, put that villain into play, and place the active counter on it. In expert mode, place 2 threat on light at the end of the tunnel. So this will fire. We'll still have this pending because we can do Venom. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's going to be 1. I think that's Dr. Octopus. So the active counter goes to Dr. Octopus, and Dr. Octopus fittingly has 8 health. Dr. Octopus has a 2/2 stat line and says that when Dr. Octopus attacks you, place 1 threat on each scheme. That's really quite bad. Only if he damages, of course. So that'll be on 8. Now here, we're going to finish resolving Surprise. So we'll do Venom's ability. So Venom will take a damage to do a damage to Craven. That puts Craven at striking distance from Venom to get rid of Venom, which is good. Next up, Dark Designs. That's bad. If only that was on Vulture. So place 1 Pursuit counter. Then if has any counters on it, the villain schemes. So Dr. Octopus is going to scheme for 2 in a card. 1, so that's 3. Sinister Synchronization goes to 3 of 8. And Dr. Octopus says, after Dr. Octopus attacks and damages you, place 1 threat counter. So it won't move if they only scheme. So that's not going to move the active counter. With Venom, yeah, we'll take a damage. And we'll do 1 to Dr. Octopus. Last card. Hoping for a minion or side scheme. It's Arm Cannon. This also has Surge. So this attached to the villain. So whenever it's the villain, it'll be the active villain if it comes from the counter deck. Attacked villain gets Overkill and Piercing, and we have to discard the highest cost upgrade we control, which could be either of these. Otherwise, this will stay here. Oh God, please stop. Why does it have to be like this? There's so much surge. Reveal the top card in the counter deck, so 2 more cards. We will take Venom to do 3 damage. We can knock out Craven. Yeah, we'll just defeat Craven. So 3 damage to Craven. And Craven says, when defeated, remove 4 threat from a side scheme. We could also bring Octopus down. It actually might be better to bring Octopus down because that brings Octopus down to 4, which we can do 4 damage, I'm pretty sure. So we'll do that instead. Venom's at 1, so we still have 2 more cards coming. Oh boy, frequent flyers. In expert mode, this card gets Insight 1. That puts 1 threat on the main scheme. This is so rough. Put the set aside Hobgoblin and Vulture into play. So Hobgoblin is one of these 2. Found him, Hobgoblin. So 9 health. After Hobgoblin attacks and damages you, it's 2 indirect damage. If Hobgoblin's already in play, take 2 indirect. If Vulture's already in play, discard a card at random from your hand. Okay. We can defeat Venom to do 3 damage. Let's see what we discard first. We discard Stepping Disc. That was not the worst card in our hand. I think we're actually going to use Venom's ability here, and that's because if there's a card that shows up that says deal 1 damage to, I don't know, your allies or something like that, we won't lose Venom's activation. So we'll take 1 damage to Venom to do 3 damage to a character. I think here we're going to, do we have any damage in our hand? Oh, we lost the Stepping Disc. So the most we can do is, well, not a lot. I think we'll do 3 to Octopus, and that defeats Venom. Last card. Oh, that was also a nice way to get rid of this. Snitches get stitches. Attach to Venom. If you cannot, this card gets Surge. So at least we dealt with Venom. It actually would have been better to attach this to Venom because then if Venom is discarded, when a villain attacks with attack Venom, if the attack defeats Venom, add Venom in this card. So we could have got rid of this card without surging. So actually kind of punished. Last card, Partnership of Pain. The villain with the highest activation order attacks you. That would be Vulture, right? Yep. With plus X attack, where X is equal to the total attack of all other villains in play. That's really quite bad. So that means Vulture's attacking us with plus X attacks where X is equal to the total attack of all other in play. All right, so we drew like 7 encounter cards, it feels like. That's cool. This is Vulture. So that means Vulture's attacking for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can't block. So if it's a 3 boost here, we just lose the game on round 1. So if it's a 3 boost, we're cooked. It's 1 boost. It's nowhere safe. So this says place 1 pursuit counter on this, so it goes up to 2, but that means Vulture is attacking us for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We take 7 damage. Vulture takes Retaliate 2. And then Vulture's text says, after Vulture attacks and damages you, discard a card from your hand. It's not random, right? Choose and discard a card from your hand. So I guess we'll get rid of a clear the area. And then move the activation counter to Hobgoblin, who schemes for 2. All right, that was round 1. That was good, wasn't it? Oh man, that's not good. Oh, this should be on 2 because we defeated a minion. One of my biggest issues with Public Outcry on this scenario is that it doesn't say enemy, it says after a minion or side scheme. So like defeating these has no implication on Public Outcry. And again, there's only 2 minions in the deck. So Public Outcry is just gonna be around for the whole damn scenario usually. We have 1 more minion. I think there's a couple side schemes. We haven't seen any so far, but this is what I mean where if your deck doesn't do consistent damage, you just fall behind here. Because while we had 2 enemies on round 1, now we have 4. And we're still going to be drawing at least 2 encounter cards. So that's an issue. If we don't do anything and jump down, this will go to 5. And then Hobgoblin will go 6, 7. It's very likely to hit 8 and we'll advance. I guess first we should do drawing near before we forget. So we discard Legion, revealing the top card of our deck, which is an energy that's totally useless. And this goes to 3. So next round, if we don't clear this, we're getting our Nemesis. I think we're cooked, y'all. I don't think we can do this. I'll be honest. I don't think we can do this at all. But here it's bad. I think we have to just flip down and hope for the best. We're exhausted. We're at 3 health. Hobgoblin will be scheming for 2 and a card. Again, if you get confused, you can hop down. That's really good, as much as the counter deck might move where the counter is. So I think here we just have to do our best to set up. So we could throw out these 2 cards to play Sorcerer Supreme, or we could clear the area and take 2 off this and just hope that means it'll stay around. I think giving us +1 attack might actually matter because attack matters, but Sorcerer Supreme is just such a good card. So I'm going to clear the area. Oh no, we should get rid of drawing near. So I guess we have to get rid of everything. So we'll pitch Sorcerer Supreme for clear the area, and it just removes 2 threat from here. We'll flip down. We're exhausted. The top card is down. We'll discard this card, Soul Sword, to clear drawing near so we don't immediately draw our Nemesis, and then we'll just pass. How long our turn is versus the villain's turn is comedy. Colossus, Energy, a Riposte, fortunately we're an Alter Ego, X-Gene, that's good to get. A Spiritual Meditation for some card draw, and we have a Soul Strike. So that's 4 damage and a stun, which unfortunately with just 1 damage on some of these, it's not lining up too well. All right, this goes to 3. Hobgoblin will scheme for 2 and a card. Boost, Evil Alliance. Oh, this is the worst time to draw this. Oh, this is so bad. So it says after this activation resolves, place 1 pursuit counter. So that means this goes to 5. Then this hits 4. When this hits 4, we go get our Nemesis and the Nemesis side scheme. So it's Belasco. It's Ruler of Limbo. And these both come into play. So firstly, it's Belasco. Belasco has Villainous, and after it activates against you, discard the top 3 cards of your deck and you attach them to Ruler of Limbo. Limbo gets attached to the Ruler of Limbo, which has an Amplify icon, so we are in a bad spot here. The problem why this is really bad is because we drew the boost icon during the villain activation. After the villain activates, now you check for minions, and now the minions activate, which means Belasco is going to activate against us. So that means Ruler of Limbo is in play. This will have Limbo on it. So if we defeat Limbo, we at least get this back. So that's there. And now Belasco is going to activate. So Belasco is going to activate for 1 in a card because of Villainous with the Amplify. So this will get +1 boost icons on it no matter what. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4. So that means Sinister Synchronization will advance because it hits 8. We go to the last main scheme. Sinister Beatdown. Okay. It says the 6 villains are more confident than ever, determined to bring about your end once and for all. When revealed, choose a set-aside villain at random, put that villain to play, and place the active counter on it. If this is an extra mode, draw a face down and counter card. Yay. Okay, so we'll do even odd. Even. So we'll reveal Electro. Electro comes in with 8 health. When Electro attacks, you have to discard 7 cards from the top of your deck. Wow, we have 5 villains on turn 2. This is good. If this is extra mode, deal the first player a face down and counter card. So we have a face down and counter card waiting. Then we have to flip over Sinister Beatdown. Oh, this one has a smaller threshold. That's not good. It has 3 threat already on it. And it says the ambush is the same. Force interrupt when a villain would activate if there's none. So the text on this is the same, but if this is resolved, we lose. So that's that. Now Belasco has to finish resolving. And Belasco says, after Belasco activates against you, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If Ruler of Limbo is in play, attach these cards to Ruler of Limbo. So we won't get these cards back into our hand. It's just when Ruler of Limbo is discarded, these cards will enter our discard pile in our choice of order. So that goes there. Now we draw on counter cards. At least we have 2 things to defeat for Public Outcry, but we have 1 card. Then we draw a second card, because we always do. And then a 3rd card for Public Outcry. First card is Team Leader. Team Leader says attach to the villain with the lowest activation order. So that's also going to be Doc Ock. If you cannot resolve the ambush ability, then attach this card to the active villain. So Dr. Octopus has a crisis icon. Luckily, Dr. Octopus is on 1 threat, but we cannot deal with the main scheme until we defeat Dr. Octopus. Second card, I don't know the order here. I think the older card is this one. Hidden in Shadow. Oh, these are really bad. So this says each enemy gains 1 hazard icon. This is so comically bad because how many enemies are in play now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means that we have to draw 6 additional encounter cards next round. Finally, it's Taunting Presence. Attached to the villain with the most remaining hit points. So that would be Hobgoblin. If you cannot resolve the ambush ability, threat cannot be removed from light at the end. That's fine. Now it's back to us. Yeah, I don't think we have a shot here, y'all. What can we possibly do? Oh crap, I realized before we drew these, we should have shuffled these back in. These are some of our cards from our encounter set, so it's 2 minions. So the chance that one of those, if not 2 of those, could have been from the set is technically real. So technically a bit of a mistake there, but we'll shuffle those in right now. I don't know what would have been worse to draw that card or any other card. These actually might not be that bad. But yeah, Hidden in Shadows is a problem. This is what I mean. If you end up very far behind the scenario, you just lose because obviously just drawing that many, this doesn't care about minions, this cares about enemies. And so we have a lot of enemies on the table. And if we can't deal with the enemies, we draw too many boost cards, and too many boost cards means we lose really quickly. This is turn 3, and we're so far behind. If we look at our hand, like, let's just see what we can do. So we have a couple issues. Firstly, we cannot remove threat from light at the end. That's fine. We have a crisis icon, but if we defeat Dr. Octopus, that's fine. When we defeat Dr. Octopus, we can remove 4 threat. So that actually clears Hidden in Shadow. So it might not be the worst. Issues, we're quite wounded. We're on 3 health, and we have Belasco and Ruler of Limbo. So Electro is going to activate pretty hard on us. We have a lot of work to do. We ideally want to get rid of these 2 so we get rid of Public Outcry and then obviously Hidden Shadows. But we just need to do 1 damage to Dr. Octopus because if we do, that's 4 threat off of a side scheme. We can clear Hidden Shadows and then we don't lose the game. This will drop to 1. I think that's what we have to do here. Now we have Soul Strike in our hand. We can set up the deck with Spiritual Meditation. So we might not be cooked, but we're pretty bad. This is really, really bad. This is where like Public Outcry on turn 1 is just so rough for us. Again, if we draw another one of these Partnership of Pain cards that says like the villain activates, oh man, this is still the top card of the deck. All the cards that we drew in that activation are on the table, which that might not be good for us. But yeah, if we draw that, the next villain's going to attack for like 700. So let's give this a think to make sure that we don't throw in the towel preemptively. If we play Spiritual Meditation to draw, we still have 2 double resources in our deck. That would be nice. I think the only way we can defeat Belasco is with X-Gene and Soul Strike. So that is 3 resources. We'll be a resource short on Colossus. We probably can't recover. I think we have to attack Dr. Octopus for 1. It could be 2, but that doesn't really matter. So we can clear Hidden in Shadow. That will get rid of these, which is nice. Not super important, but nice. Then Electro will be attacking us. Again, we cannot remove from light at the end, which is fine. If Belasco attacks, we can deal. I think we can deal with Belasco. I just need to make sure that we have the math to be able to play X-Gene. So say we play X-Gene. I think no matter what, we start with Spiritual Meditation. If we find a double here, it might open up some options. So we'll just play this in Alter Ego, draw 2, discard 1. We have Preemptive, clear the area. We have to discard a card. Clear the area is kind of interesting. No, probably not worth playing. So that's that. So if we play X-Gene, we can put a Soul Strike on top of our deck when we flip up. I think we have access to one. We do. No, we don't. So I guess we have to throw out the Soul Strike here because we have no Soul Strikes on the bin unless we play the Soul Strike to play X-Gene. That's probably fine. So say that we play the Soul Strike to play X-Gene. Then we play the Soul Strike for free on the top of our deck. That drops Belasco. Then we can do Energy plus Preemptive for Colossus. Yeah, I think that's the best we have. So we'll play X-Gene, throwing out Soul Strike. This gives us a wild resource a turn to deal with identity-specific events. We cannot afford to recover here, so hopefully we'll hold on to the Riposte or the Preemptive. We'll hold on to one of them. So we'll flip up with Ileana, which allows us to put a spell on top of our deck. We are going to go put the Soul Strike on top of our deck. With Magik, we're going to attack for 1, defeating Dr. Octopus. That says, when defeated, remove 4 threat from a side scheme. We'll clear Hidden in Shadow. That removes 1 from this. These are cleared. Dr. Octopus is defeated. Okay, things are bad. We can do this. We can believe. That's down. Okay, so now we want to get rid of Belasco, probably. Again, Taunting Presence just says that we cannot remove threat from light at the end. That's fine. We had another side scheme. If we defeat Belasco, we get rid of Public Outcry. And we get some table space back. That's a nice treat. So here, we'll use X-Gene to play the top of the deck. It's a Soul Strike. We'll target Belasco. We don't get the Sun, but a Riposte coming up is fine. So that's going to do 4 damage to Belasco. Belasco's down to 2. Unfortunately, we're going to lose the toughness on Colossus, but that's fine. We'll do Energy into Riposte for Colossus. Coming in with 3 health, toughness. And then we'll activate with Colossus into Belasco, which will take the toughness off, but that'll defeat Belasco. That's good. There's 1 more minion or 1 fewer minions to deal with, but the biggest thing is we clear Public Outcry, so we're only drawing genuinely 1 encounter card, which, oh my god, that seems important because things cascade really poorly. We still have this icon here. Electro's going to be attacking for 2 and a card because of this. Let me just shift this up slightly. I think we have enough space. And of course, we still have all the threat at the end of the tunnel, so we still have a lot of room ahead of us. We can block, withhold Preemptive Strike and Riposte. I think we'll just pass here. And hopefully we control a bit of the main scheme by playing Preemptive and Riposte. Drop to 5. Ooh, holding on. 1, 2, 3. Astonishing X-Men. Be nice to play that. We have an Unflappable. We have Prof X as well. We could use the Confuse and flip down for sure, so that's not bad. Top of the deck is a Scrying, which that's fine. We have no Limbo tricks here. So we put 1 here. It's 4 of 7. We draw Dark Designs. We're cooked. Electro is attacking for 1, an Amplify, and a card. So we have to decide whether we want to block here. Attacks and damages you. So we can play either a Riposte or a Preemptive. We are defending for 4, so we're actually not going to take any damage. So we could keep the cards in hand to be able to play Professor X. Otherwise, if we play the Riposte, we're going to do 3 damage guaranteed. We're doing 2 and Retaliate, so that drops Electro to 3. We also could play the Preemptive on top of it. So the issue is if we start playing this hand, we won't have cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we won't have cards to play Professor X because this will cost 2 cards and then Professor X. I guess we could play Scrying. That draws a card technically, but it's getting close. So I don't think we Riposte here. I think we'd rather have cards in hand, but maybe we need to do damage. Like maybe we just have to knock Electro down so there's 1 less villain. We're going to be doing 2 damage. Riposte is going to be doing 3 damage. So that's 5 damage dropping to 3. That's a really important choice here. We're only drawing 1 encounter card. Otherwise, if we keep this hand, we'll do Prof X for 3 and we have 1 card left over, which we can maybe play with Scrying. I feel like we need to do damage. We'll just do damage. So I'll pitch Astonishing X-Men, which we can't afford now for Riposte. So we're blocking. We technically have 2, 4, 5, 6 block. Electro's attacking for 1, 2. Boost icon here is Dark Designs. So unfortunately, puts 1 counter pursued by the past. That's not bad. Unfortunately, there's no icons. So we feel like we overblocked. Not entirely true. Good to get the Dark Designs out. Actually, no, we should be celebrating that. So we take no damage. Riposte does 3 damage. Retaliate 2 does 2 damage. Maybe we should actually have 1 copy of Change of Fortune in this deck because we'll defeat things. That does 5 damage to Electro. Electro passes the counter on to Hobgoblin, which is the indirect damage one. And we draw 1 single encounter card. Imagine that. Oh, it's a bad one. This is Brute Force Barricade. This is the big scheme on it. It does have 9 threat. It does have victory, but threat cannot be removed from other side schemes. I'm glad we drew this at least after we drew the one that said draw 6 extra cards, but we have to clear this before we can clear that. Oh no, we can't even remove Ruler of Limbo because we have to clear 9 off of this. That is so damn bad. Luckily, somewhere in our deck, we have 1 copy of the thing that we can attach to that. The one where you hold the line down. the card that we added that has blob on it. Containment strategy? Yeah, we have one containment strategy left in our deck. So if we find that, we'd be happy to attach it to Brute Force Barricade. Oh, we didn't take damage, sorry. So we should remove one threat here from, very important, from hard to ignore. Super, super important. So we have to clear Brute Force Barricade before we clear any other side scheme. So we can maybe recover here. So we're going to play Scrying from the top of the deck. This says, look at the top 3, so we don't see the 4th card. We add 1 to hand, that's really good. Oh, 1 to the deck. So we have Genius, which we add Genius to our hand. So we probably add Containment to the top of the deck for the setup. Unfortunately, no cards that we can play with X-Chain. But these cards here, we want to play Prof X, that'll be 1, 2, whatever card. So it doesn't matter if it's a Genius. 1 goes on top of our deck. Oh, sorry, I didn't show Scrying. 1 goes into our discard pile, 1 goes on top. We can't play the top of the deck because we've already done our ability. We are going to deck out, so we're going to draw 2 cards here. We only have 4 cards left. It'll be 5 cards, but if we jump to, we actually might not jump to Alter Ego because we might just block with Professor X. That means we'll still draw 5, so we will still deck out, but it probably is better to deck out on this side. Hobgoblin doesn't attack for a lot. Okay, so we'll confuse Craven, I think. I think we do that. I think we do this. So top of the deck is Containment. We throw out the Armored Vest. I don't think it makes a huge difference. So then we can play 1, 2, Preemptive Strike for Prof X. Prof X enters play with 3. Gonna leave at the end of this round. Is ready. Can thwart for 3 and we will confuse. We're assuming we're going to confuse Craven because we're assuming Hobgoblin will activate and it'll move the counter over and then we'll jump down on Craven. That being said, Craven's about to be defeated, so that feels a bit silly, but I don't know what else to do. We'll defeat Electro. All right, we have 1 card in hand. We can't play it. We have X-Gene. We can't play it. We get Limbo back, but we can't because of the Brute Force Barricade. Oof. So what are we going to work on? Brute Force Barricade we can work on for a start. Sinister Beatdown. We have no more Dark Design, so that's okay. So I think we're going to actually work on the Brute Force Barricade. So we'll do 3, the Barricade. That's 6. Colossus can attack for 2 or thwart for 2. I would love to get these cards back because Limbo is just very, very good. But maybe we want to drop Electro down or Craven down. I don't think we want to drop Craven down. I think we will drop Electro down, or we could go safety off Sinister Beatdown, the main scheme. We have 4 damage cards. We're going to cycle our deck, so we might not have access to them, but I feel like we have to safe. We have 2 Dark Designs out, right? Yeah, we have 2 Dark Designs out, so it's not likely we scheme again. So dropping this to 4 is also reasonable because that lines up well. Okay, we'll pass here. Will we hold on to Unflappable? I think we will. We need the card draw. We're set up to block really well. Unfortunately, this turn, if we don't block, if we block with Prof X, we lose our hard to ignore our value and we lose our retaliate value. So do we actually flip down instead? No, I don't think we do. Drop. Containment strategy. Preemptive strike. Magic barrier. We have a strength. We don't draw our last card, which is perfect, so we don't deck out. It's a magic barrier on the top of the deck. If we play that, we will deck out and draw an encounter card. I think we're going to try and avoid that. It does have a physical icon, so it doesn't buff the magical barrier in our hand, the magic barrier, and then we'll pass. This goes to 4. Hobgoblin will now activate for 1 and amplify in a card. We're incentivized to block with Prof X, so I think we do. Boost icons. 1 boost icon is a surprise. That's good. So Prof X takes 3 damage. Now, Hobgoblin's text, like all of the villains' text, says that when it damages you, so we didn't get damaged, so we don't have to do the text, and this slides over the Craven. We draw 1 encounter card. It's Taunting Presence. Okay. Attach to the villain with the most remaining hit points. So there's 2 of them? Yeah, doesn't say that you can't have 2 of them. So this is just like a hyper taunt, super taunting guy. Yeah, I'm down with that. Rules is written, I guess. And then it's back to us. Okay, we can do this. We have to clear Brute Force Barricade. We're ready, but we thwart for 1. We attack for 1. We can't make that better. We have no way to set up the top of the deck. So I think here we do flip down and hope for the best. And we just set up all our good defense cards before we like ready up. So that means we're going to attach a containment strategy to this. Never played this card. I can't attach it to Light at the End, which is a bummer because it's permanent. But after a hero defends, remove 2 threat if you take no damage, 1 otherwise. This is not a thwart on this, but Brute Force Barricade says threat cannot be removed, so it'll still work. So we'll attach that there and hope that this does something. That's okay. So if we block once, we'll clear this. I think we don't flip down. I think we're like kind of gaming here. Well, Magic Barrier for Unflappable. So if we block and don't take damage, we'll draw. We have Colossus as a chump blocker, which is nice. I think we don't flip down. The 2 confuses are like pretty luxurious. I'm so ready for the new packs. Canada doesn't have them yet, but like, what's it called? Ready for action? Ready for a fight? This card I so want in every protection deck because it allows us to flip down and then just immediately pop up, which this deck needs. It needs ways to flip down and then immediately flip up. Shout out to the Colossus gang. Big fan of that. But yeah, I think if we had this, we'd be able to flip down and heal, but because we don't, we can't. So we're going to stay up. And because we get most of our value from blocking, I'm so excited for this card. Hopefully this week it'll show up. Okay. We have our activation. We can thwart for 1. We can attack for 1. We attack for 1. Retaliate will defeat Craven. We will attack for 1. That means I'm actually going to attach this containment strategy to Ruler for Limbo, because when we defeat Craven, we'll clear Brute Force Barricade using Craven's text. So this will go down to 2. We're hoping this doesn't get out of hand. We'll pass. We'll hold on to Strength. Did we use all our cards? Oh, we didn't use Colossus. We should use Colossus. I think Colossus will just thwart for 2. Colossus misses the cycle. Not that big of a deal. We draw 1, 2. It's because we have a lot of ways to recur magic cards. This is waiting for us. Sorry, we don't have table space, and we'll shuffle this up. Bummer that we couldn't play the top of the deck there. We lost some value, but at least we've slightly recovered. We're on 3 health. We have a blocker if we need it. Craven attacks for 2. We'll be fine. And an Amplify will be fine, probably. Probably. We have a magical barrier too, so hopefully we can just play that instead, well, on top of blocking. We really need to start hitting our exorcisms or our soul strikes. Okay, cut. So top of the deck, 1, 2, 3 is scrying. That's never bad. Sorcerer's Supreme, we can set that up. Stepping Disc, top of the deck is a riposte. We can play that for free. We definitely will. Actually, no, we won't, because it's useless against Craven. Or not useless, but not that good. So, okay, this goes to 3. Craven's attacking us for 2 and a card and Amplify. So we have to figure out what we want to do here. If we play the riposte, it means we have to block. It might just be better to play the magic barrier from hand, because then Craven is immediately defeated and then the attack doesn't go through. Because this actually, I think, fires before we reveal the boost card. So I think we don't reveal the boost card, but I'm not 100% confident about this. Because it says when the enemy initiates an attack, the top card of your deck has this icon, deal 3 damage. And so I think if Craven dies, we don't get to have to do the thing that we have to do. This also technically means we defended, because we played a defense card and took no damage. So we can fire Unflappable, and I believe we can fire Containment Strategy. I'll check the wording on that in a second. So I think we will play from hand in X-Gene to play Magic Barrier. So we deny the first 3 damage, and then we do 3 damage to Craven, which defeats Craven. So Craven is defeated, and we have a bunch of cool triggers here. So Craven is defeated. Craven, of course, says remove 4 threat from a side scheme. So we'll clear Brute Force Barricade, which means we can now remove threat from other side schemes. That's victory 1. This will pass on to Vulture. Craven flips down. We lose the Confuse. I don't believe we revealed the boost card. We can look at it. It was, oh, Battle for Limbo. Okay. Now we have a couple triggers here. We can choose to draw with Unflappable. I think we will. So we defended because we played a defense event. We didn't take damage, so we'll draw Riposte. Next top of the card is a Preemptive Strike. That's good to be there. This exhausts this. Hard to ignore fires because we blocked and didn't take damage. Defends against attack. We played defense, so this goes down 2. And then, of course, Containment Strategy actually does something here. It says, after a hero defends from against an attack, remove 1 threat, 2 threat if we took no damage. So this is down to 1. All right. All right. 2 encounter cards. That felt cool. First encounter card. Exhaustion. Ah, we should have blocked. So Surge, when revealed, exhaust your identity. Hate it. At least we did most of our stuff here. Smear Campaign. Okay. This just gets, oh, wow. Glad that we did some work here. So it gets Surge because we're an expert. And if it's not in play, we place 2 threat on the main scheme. So that is a way that we could have got cooked if we let that get out of control. We'll keep revealing cards. Dark Child. All right. Unfortunately, we have some bad choices here because we have to defeat Colossus. So it says you may flip to Alter Ego, which with Vulture having this Confuse on it, I think we're happy flipping to Alter Ego. Unfortunately, we can't ready ourselves. Or sorry, we can't recover because we're exhausted. So we will flip to Alter Ego here, I think, flipping the Preemptive Strike down. And then we can't exhaust Ileana, so we have to deal 1 damage to each character you control. So we're going to take 1 and Colossus will be defeated. So at least Colossus is back in the bin. We have a Stepping Disc, which we do. This is not removed from game. Last card. All right. Another threat, a side scheme. Each enemy gains +1 acceleration icon. This is disastrous and has 6 threat on it. So if we do not clear that, there are 3 enemies, which means we will lose. Because this gets 1 acceleration icon for each enemy, not villain, enemy, so minions 2, but regardless, it's 1, 2, 3, so we'll add 4 to Sinister Beatdown, which means we can't just lose this turn. You feel like you're holding on and then you're not suddenly. We've exhausted all our cards, but here we are. Vulture is still confused, so we could consider staying down here, but we have to flip up to deal with Sinister Beatdown. There's no way around it. Our deck has access to Colossus, but that is the only card that we have access to with Stepping Disc. We have no spells to put on top. Oh, we do. Problem is we have to put a spell on top, so I think we're going to play Scrying just to make sure that we have another option here. We need to find our Confuse. We need to find, I think we really need to find Exorcism, our 4 threat. So look at the top 3 cards of your deck, draw 1, discard 1, put 1 on top. So Polaris, Preemptive Strike, clear the area. I was going to say clear the area is really good because we can deal with the Ruler of Limbo, and that's actually true because we get Limbo, but I think we have to deal with Coordinated Effort or Sinister Beatdown sooner. So when we flip up by playing our Stepping Disc, we can put a card on top of our deck that is a Colossus, potentially. That's fine. So I think the card that we add into our hand is not super important. We're on 2 health. Getting a Toughness would be fine, but we do block relatively well. At least if we have Colossus, we have a Panic block as well if we need it, which again, double activate could happen. We could lose. So we always need an ally unless we can recover, which we can't recover. So I think we're gonna add clear the area to hand because we're gonna play Colossus from the top of the deck. We'll discard Polaris. We'll put, I guess the icon on top of the deck doesn't matter. We can't recover here. We'll flip up. So here we can put a spell on top of our deck with Ileana's ability. The question is whether we want to put a scrying or whether we want to put a scrying. I'm going to put a scrying on top. We probably won't play it because I think we have to play Colossus. So here I'm going to do Riposte for Stepping Disc. This is a hero action, so we have to play on this side. Ready your hero, choose a magic card, now you discard pile. So we'll put Colossus on top. Okay, we're ready. We have one thwart, which is good enough for Ruler of Limbo. We lose a bit of value on containment strategy, so we could always decide not to do that. So we actually might have to thwart the main scheme. I think here we're going to do Strength for Colossus from the top deck. No surprise what it reveals underneath. Colossus comes in. Has Toughness, so this activation just removes the Toughness. What can we deal with here? Vulture's going to attack. Doing 5 damage to Vulture is not impossible to defeat Vulture during this attack. So we need to clear this, but we probably just need to clear Sinister Beatdown. If we clear an enemy that removes 1 threat, so we could do 1, 2, 3 to Electro. Electro, when defeated, can remove 4 threat from coordinated effort. Actually, what we could do here is do 1, 2, 3 into Electro. That will move 4 coordinated effort. Then we can clear the area coordinated effort, drawing a card. That'll give us a scrying. We have no reason to play the scrying, but it deals with an enemy while dealing with this. And then this will be at 5, which is fine. I think that actually is better that we attack and go on the offensive, which is a problem. I think we need to go on the offensive. So Magik will attack for 1 into Electro. Drops it to 2. And of course, we'll attack, losing the toughness from Colossus, defeating Electro. Electro says remove 4 threat from a side scheme. So we'll move 4 threat from coordinated effort, dropping that to 2. Then we'll play. Unfortunately, we lose our Sorcerer Supreme to play Clear the Area. Glad we added this card to the deck. Remove 2 threat from this. If it clears, I draw a card. So that's gone. We'll draw the Scrying. We can play the Scrying just to set up. I think we might as well. So we'll play the Scrying. So look at the top 3. Mind you, we know the card underneath is a preemptive. So we'll do 1, 2, 3. This is really important that we set up the deck right. So if we put a preemptive on top, it'll be in our hand. We block and take no damage. We clear Ruler of Limbo. I think we want to have a Stepping Disc. So I do think we actually throw out the resource and hold on to the preemptive. Because the preemptive is the only way we can defeat Vulture here. So we'll hold on to this and then hold on to that for ready. Wow, we're holding on. Speaking of holding on. So let's draw it. 1, 2, 3 with the Astonishing X-Men. Clear the area. And Magic's Crown, top of the deck, is a preemptive strike. So we'll probably play that one faster as much as it gives us +1 block. This goes to 5 of 7. Vulture's going to activate for 2 and a card with Amplify. We do need to block here. So I think we will just hard block. So we'll block for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll play the preemptive strike if this has a lot of icons on it. We need at least 3 icons on this to be able to defeat Vulture. So Vulture's attacking for 3 and a card or 2 and Amplify. It says 2 boost icons. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to check the text of Amplify. Does Amplify add the icons? I think it does. So Amplify says to add 1 additional icon to that card. So I'm assuming the card has more icons. The text on preemptive strike, does it say printed? It says cancel all boost icons on that card. Okay. So Partnership of Pain has 3 icons. So Vulture's attacking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're blocking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we're going to play the preemptive strike for free. Preemptive strike says when a boost card is turned face up, cancel all those boost icons, then deal 1 damage for each boost icon. So we're going to do 3 damage to Vulture. Revealing the next card on top of our deck, which is a Stepping Disc. We now have taken no damage, so we have a whole bunch of triggers here. Wow, do we have triggers. So first trigger, we're going to tally 2, defeat Vulture. Oh, these Taunting Presences are really annoying because we cannot remove threat from light at the end. So we're going to defeat Vulture. When Vulture is defeated, remove 4 threat from a side scheme. So we'll just clear Ruler of Limbo. We would have cleared it anyways, but that's fine. This goes over here. So we only have 1 villain. That's a good recovery. Ruler of Limbo is defeated. When this is defeated, we get to add Limbo back to our play. We discard all of these cards. One of our, mind you, Soul Strikes was pinned down there. And Limbo is obviously very important. It allows us to control the top of the deck. That's huge. We also did a couple of these things. We blocked and didn't take damage, so Unflappable draws a card. We also blocked and didn't take damage, so we can remove 1 threat. So this goes down to 4. The new top card of our deck, and you have to remember we played. Sick. Okay, I think we can do this. Top card, Sinister Strike. Never mind, we can't do this. I'm kidding. We're really lucky we have Colossus here. Oh my God, we need Colossus here. So place 1 pursuit counter on Pursued by the Past. The villain activates against you. So Hobgoblin's going to be attacking for only 1 in a card. We have to block with Colossus. Our hand has no way to block damage. So this is why we needed the minion in play or the ally. So Hobgoblin's attacking for 1 in a card. 2, 3 boost. That's Witchfire. That's a quick strike minion. That also was something we had to play, watch out for. So after Hobgoblin attacks and damages you, did not damage us. So Colossus is defeated by 3 damage. All right, we got to replay Colossus, but it's just us and the tunnel and Hobgoblin who has taunted to the gills. So let's relax a bit here, Andre. I think we can do it. A nice confuse would be good. We could pop down. That would be an absolute treat. So let's get to work. So I think the first thing we're going to do, we want to swap the top card of our deck. We still have Magik's ability here. Do we want to swap the top card of the deck? Crown is not bad because we could set up the crown and have a mental on top. I do think we want to play Colossus from the top. So we're not going to top the X-Jet. I think we're just going to go ahead and start by Stepping Disc just to get this off the top. So we'll Stepping Disc with X-Gene. So ready your hero, sick. Add a Magic card to the top of your deck. I think it'll be Colossus. Wait, do we have an Exorcism? We don't have an Exorcism. That's a bummer. We would have considered Exorcism, but Colossus is on the top of our deck now and we are ready. Now this means we have a Wild on top of the deck. So if we want to play Magic's Crown hard from hand, that'll give us +2 thwart. So we could clear Sinister beatdown. I think we're going to have to consider doing that. Yeah, I think we have to consider doing that. So we're going to pitch 1. I like this card. We'll pitch 1/2, Preemptive and Stepping Disc to play Magic's Crown. This gives us steady. We already have Stalwart. And if the top of our deck has a Wild or a Mental, we get +1 thwart. So we're going to thwart for 2 here to this. Now, before we draw this card, we're going to pitch 2. Oh yeah, so I guess it didn't matter as a wash to play Colossus. So actually that might not have been the best turn. I still think this is fine. So Colossus enters play the top of the deck, 3 health, toughness, and ready. I think that might have been a misplay of a turn. Yeah, that might have been. 2 threat there is totally fine. We can limbo, so we could have maybe set up 1 more damage. It's not a big deal. So we've activated, I'm going to keep Colossus's toughness here as much as we want to block ourselves. So I think we actually are going to use Colossus. So we'll attack for 2 just to get these numbers down. And then we'll pass. We have limbo, so we can do setups, some good setups. We have X-Jet, we have energy, we have armored vest. Clear the area is good. Exorcism is perfect. We don't have a 6th card, but the top of our deck is a preemptive. That is a really nice play there. So this goes to 3, but before we do the villain phase, we can decide if we want to limbo. I honestly don't think we do. I think preemptive strike is perfect on top of the deck. We only have to play it if we need to. Otherwise, we're going to have 5 block, which is really good. So Hobgoblin's going to attack for 1 in a card. We're going to block for 5 because we do have mystical armor. We'll play the preemptive if we need to. So 3 boosts. I think we're going to play the preemptive. So this is 3 boosts on the Spike Gauntlet. So now we're going to play from the top of the deck preemptive. It says cancel the boost icons and deal 3 damage instead because we revealed 3 icons. So 7 goes down to 4. New top of the deck is a riposte. We took no damage, so we have a bunch of triggers here. We'll draw with Unflappable. New top of the deck is the Exorcism. We'll remove a threat here, and we'll do Retaliate 2. Nice. Encounter card. Robotic enhancements. All right, so we're getting some more villains. In expert mode, this card gains Insight 1. It cannot be canceled, so we're at 3 threat. Put the set aside Dr. Octopus and Scorpion into play. Okay, none of the other text matters, so let's get those into play. We've seen Doc Ock before. 8 fitting health, schemes and attacks for 2. It wants you to put threat on things. Don't love that. I do think we still have a lot of cards in the deck that spawn more villains. So while we had a quiet portion now, it can easily get worse. Which one is Scorpion? I think it's 5. Okay, that's Scorpion. Does not know how to scheme really well. Still, you get the boost card. Comes in with 10 health, as much as I do think this one also has 8 legs usually. And after it attacks and damages you, stun a character you control. Now we can't stun ourselves because we have Stalwart, I'm pretty sure. So we have to stun like our minions. So Scorpion's text is actually a bit awkward. All right, this is on us. So we can at least defeat Hobgoblin really easily. That will take 4 threat off of this. I don't know the order of the activation because I'm assuming Taunting Presence gets discarded first when the villain is defeated. And so then we can remove threat from light at the end. I'm not sure the order of defeating a villain. I'm going to assume that works. Otherwise, that's really frustrating. That seems intuitive, at least. We have an Exorcism on the top of the deck. And when we play the Exorcism, we can set it up so that we have the Confuse if we wanted to. We also can Limbo. Giving us +1 block is fine. We actually might have a second here to play the X-Jet. We just need to make sure the deck is going to be shuffling soon. We need to we need to continue to do damage because if we don't, we're going to fall behind. So I think no matter what, Colossus will attack for 2, defeating Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin's text, like they all say, this moves on. We can remove 4 threat from a side scheme, so we finally get some threat done on light at the end. Now it's going to be Scorpion attacking us for 3 in a card, so that can do up to 6 damage, so we have to prepare for that. Confusing Scorpion feels pretty silly, so I think we'll confuse Dr. Octopus. We can't draw a card with Clear the Area, which stinks, but do we play the Exorcism and just hope? I would consider removing 4 threat from Sinister Beatdown. Maybe we don't need to. The second Hard to Ignore is going to come up, and we've got through 2 Dark Designs, so we probably don't. I think we actually do it from light at the end. But I think we can set up the top of the deck to be a mental. So I'm going to do the Limbo swap. Playing this for free is pretty good. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3 for the X-Jet. Get another resource generator. I think we still have a bunch of game in front of us. So this generates 1 a turn for a wild, as long as we're in X-Men, so in hero mode. Then we're going to play X-Gene and X-Jet for an Exorcism. A lot of X's there. This says remove 4 threat from a scheme. So we'll remove 4 threat from this. So this 6 goes down to 2. We're at 12. And if the top icon has the icon, we can confuse. And I believe because our cards, we can choose any villain to be the villain. We'll then clear the area. I think here we'll just make sure Sinister down stays low. We don't draw a card. That's fine. Soul Sword off the top. Okay. And we're going to play an Armored Vest for 1. So that gives us +1 block. That's really important. We are a perfect block deck now. And some of these do hit pretty hard. So we're at technically 5 block, sometimes 6 block. We'll just pass. We have the chump blocker if we need it. We have one more of, I think we have the big troll in the bin. So we do, if the troll gets drawn, I think we put 2 threat on the main scheme. So we'll try and keep that down. All right. Still 5 hand size. Soul Sword. Magic Barrier. That's good. Jocasta. We want to draw some damage here that we can send into the attacking villain. We have Prof X. Top card is Riposte. That's perfect. That's what we need. We actually might play Magic Barrier as well. So we'll see how much damage we can do here. Do we want to limbo at start of turn? I don't think we do. I think that's perfect. So a lot of allies all at once. That's not great. We can probably only play one of these, but this goes to 2. And Scorpion's attacking for 3 and a card. So from hand, with X-Gene, we'll play Magic Barrier. This says we'll do 3 damage, block the first 3 damage. So that's 3 to Scorpion down to 7. And then we'll block and play Riposte from the top of the deck for free. So we're blocking for 2 more. And if we take no damage here, we got to do a bunch of damage back. So Scorpion's attacking for 3 and a card. 3 icons. That's Back Alley Burglary. That's our community service card. So that's 6 attack for Scorpion. We're blocking the first 3 and then we're blocking for a lot. So we definitely take no damage. That does 5 damage back because of Retaliate and Riposte. We have a bunch of triggers here. So we didn't take damage with Scorpion, so we don't care about its text. We draw with Unflappable. So we have a Soul Strike in our hand. We remove 1 threat from this. Having the Wild on top of the deck is nice. And this slides over to Dr. Octopus. Okay. Draw our 1 encounter card. Heightened Morale. Attached to the villain with the highest activation order. So I think that's the biggest number. That's Scorp. X is equal to the number of villains in play. So Scorpion attacks a bit harder, but I don't think Scorpion's going to be attacking anymore. Okay. We're doing great here. We're actually holding on. We have a Wild on top. So Soul Strike will just stun Dr. Octopus. It's a bit unfortunate. Stunning means that we don't fire our abilities and we get good value. It's a card draw and a threat and then retaliate damage. So that feels a bit silly. So in theory, we can actually manage the top of the deck. So Soul Strike whiffs. I don't love doing that, but that might be right. I do think when we advance at the end, it gets harder. I think there is like a hazard icon on the back. So we can, Legion's good. Legion's quite good. However, very importantly, Legion doesn't work well with wild icons because it cares about the printed resource. And so discarding Venom doesn't actually help. I think the last card of our deck, or last 2 cards, one of them is the last hard to ignore, which I think we'd appreciate hitting the table. So we can do a swap here if we want to. I think Colossus is just going to attack for 2 into Scorpion. No surprise. Scorpion's defeated. And of course, whenever you defeat one of these, we remove 4 threat from a side scheme. So 7 goes down to 3. We're at 8. Okay. Holding on. I think we'll Soul Strike because we just need damage, but I do think we can just put the Soul Strike on top of the deck and hope that we don't hit a stun. So we'll Limbo for the Soul Strike, and we'll top deck the Soul Strike with the X-Jet, revealing the card underneath it. It is a physical. No. So we do get the stun off. I don't think it's optional. So this says deal 4 damage. So 8 goes down to 4. And if the top deck has the icon, which we're talking about this hard to ignore off the top of the deck, we also get a stun. So unfortunately, Doc Ock is pretty pinned down there. At least that's good for breathing room, but we are going to draw 2 encounter cards here. I don't want to play Venom. So I think it's fine here to play Jocasta. Jocasta is okay. Legion's probably a bit better because Legion is just more consistent. We have 5 cards, which means if we play Legion, we don't play our Soul Sword. That's okay. But I'll play Legion for another blocker. Jocasta is okay because we can grab a card. Actually, maybe we'll do Jocasta here. Legion's more consistent damage. The difference with Jocasta is we can grab one of our block cards and just always have that on deck. But I think Legion, we're just going to try and keep around forever. So I'll pitch 3 for Legion. I'll throw a Venom, Jocasta, Prof X. I'll hold on to the Soul Sword. Legion comes in for 3. If we want to use Legion, we can choose to discard the top of the deck. We don't have to. Healing 2 damage doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to thwart for 1 off of this. And then we won't use the response. All right, that's it. We'll pass. We're going to draw another encounter card, but I think we're in a good spot with a bunch of statuses. And we're going to need to flip down and heal, actually. I don't want to do it now because we're going to draw 2 encounter cards, but we should flip down and heal. That's the one way that we can lose this. So we'll draw 1, 2, 3 encounter card waiting for us. And then we should draw 2 more. All right. We have 3 in hand. 4th, preemptive strike. That's nice, but we're probably not going to get attacked. 5th is riposte. Nice. Probably not going to get attacked. Top of the deck is an Astonishing X-Men. I would love to play that. I think at this point, it's not super necessary, but it's a really good panic button. This is a card I was so stoked to find in the binder. I did not remember this card existed, and it works really good against multi-villain scenarios as much as it hasn't shined so far. Do we want to limbo this turn? I think we can consider limboing. I think we almost always put the riposte on top of the deck with limbo. Do we need to use limbo on our turn? Doesn't seem like it. So we have a riposte there, which is good. And we have the energy on top, which is good. This goes to 2. Dr. Octopus would attack but is stunned, and we draw 2 encounter cards. This will probably spawn some villains. Master Plan. Oh, that's fine. Annoying usually, but Master Plan says put 4 threat on each scheme. So this goes up to 11, and we don't have to search for another scheme. So that always hits kind of weird. Oh, good. We got that in the right order. Teamwork makes the dream work. Comes in with 5 threat. Each enemy gets +1 scheme and +1 attack. Not the worst, honestly. And now we have a bunch of schemes to clear. So if we drew those in the other order, that'd be pretty bad for us. This is a good time to jump down and heal if we can, I'm pretty sure. Legion in play can deal some extra damage. Importantly here, if we deal with Dr. Octopus and defeat Dr. Octopus, we can remove 7 threat from a side scheme. But that's nice because it clears teamwork, makes the dream work immediately. But I think the bigger problem now is a Sinister Beatdown on the 2B side. If we have no villains in play and we're meant to activate, we grab a random villain and it activates, and we could get one that has a lot of scheme, as much as we could also get one that has 0 scheme. So we're going to not defeat Dr. Octopus, and we're going to flip down and assume that the Confuse will hold our ground for a bit. We could get unlucky. I do think we know that both copies of Dark Designs are already in the discard pile, so not too stressed about it, but this is always a bit risky again. We'd love to have that new protection card that protects us from this. Okay, so what does that mean? I think we just want to do as much threat work as we can. Legion, we can get the top of the deck to be the icon Legion wants, which here would be Mental. Unfortunately, here we gummed up the top of the deck with a Riposte, which we can't play, so luckily Spiritual Meditation. We're going to draw 2. So we're looking to get on top of the deck. Mental? Nope. Stepping Disc. We can play that though, so that's fine. So we have to discard a card and we'll get rid of the Riposte. We have no more card draw here, so I think we'll set up a bit. We'll want to be ready. Luckily, we can Stepping Disc to be ready. So here we only have 1 thwart. We have a bit of attack. I think we just need to do all the thwarting we can. Getting Colossus back with the Stepping Disc is totally fine. So I think we're going to thwart 2 with Colossus off of... I'll just deal with this for safety. Colossus is defeated. We'll thwart for 1. Didn't do any of the math here. This is vibes. Then we'll X-Gene, Stepping Disc. This readies us. We can put a magic card on top of our deck. We'll put Colossus on top. Okay, now we have a Wild on top of the deck. That matters because all our cards care about that. So Magic's Crown will now fire. So Magic's Crown will thwart for 2. Drops this down. We'll then do 1, 2 to play Colossus from the top of the deck. He's back, coming in with 3 health and a toughness. We don't actually really need the toughness here. So I think just for safety's sake, we're going to use Colossus, losing the toughness to clear teamwork so that if something schemes in this phase, we're less likely to be cooked if it's a double scheme. And then I think we'll just set up our last cards here. So Double Heart Ignore is good. Soul Sword we don't need. Astonishing X-Men we don't need. I'm going to get rid of the Astonishing X-Men to play the second Heart Ignore. I'm just going to stack them. So I'll just put 2 counters on top, but they mean what you think they mean. Oh, we thwarted for 1. I'm not going to thwart for 1, so we're ready. We'll thwart for 1 with Legion and not use Legion's text so that when we flip down here into Alter Ego, we can recover for 3. I believe we could have done that. Flipping that back over. We'll hold on to the Soul Sword and we'll pass. Yeah, because we really need to do a double recovery to be full safe, but I'm feeling pretty safe. I don't know if there's any like confirmed damage in the counter deck. I don't want to find out the hard way. 6 cards, Stepping Disc, Riposte, Energy, Profex, that's not bad, and the Containment Strategy, which doesn't have a target here, but that's okay. We put 1 threat here. We can't do Limbo. Dr. Octopus is confused. Draw 1 encounter card. From every direction. Okay, this is one that adds threat, I think. In extra mode, this gains Surge. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for each enemy in play. This is the thing that if we drew this at the wrong time, we would have just lost. Luckily, we're drawing them at this point where we're managing the board, but drawing this on turn 1 or 2 would have lost the game for us. Surprise. Okay, cool. We have more minions or more villains. Extra mode, this card gains Surge. Please stop. Resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. If no villain was put into play, something bad happens. The main scheme here, Sinister Beatdown, says that we pick a random number. So of course, 2 to 5, 2 to 6. 6, it's going to be our friend here, the Vulture. So choose a set-aside villain at random, put that villain into play and place the activation counter on it. So Vulture comes in with 7 health. And on Expert, place 2 threat at the tunnel. Vulture's the one that discards cards from hand. This gets Surge. Next card. From every direction. Oh God, I'm glad we cleared some threat here. So it's another one. I think there's only 2. So this puts Surge. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for each enemy in play. I'm really glad we cleared this. That went up a lot farther than we thought we would. Last card, Life-Size Decoy. Okay, this is fine. So we survived there. We're going to have to do some threat work here. Life-Size Decoy comes in with 5 health and an Expert it has toughness. So this says that we cannot remove thwart, or sorry, we can't thwart. We can remove threat. We can't thwart from side schemes. So Light at the End is back up to 13 from its 20. Okay, on our side, we can give our basic attacks Piercing, which is nice. We have a Stepping Disc and a Soul Sword, so we should be able to set up the top of the deck. We have no spells in the bin, so we could throw out... Nah, we don't have any spells at all. So we can't actually use Ileana's ability. I think regardless here, the game is going to get really weird once we shuffle the counter deck. There's only 3 cards left, but then we have to start playing around Dark Designs and stuff like that. So if that's the case, we will just recover here because I don't think we'll have a chance to drop down for a bit. So we'll recover up to full health and we'll just flip up. We have no spells. So Ileana's ability is blank, but top of the deck now. It's a Sorcerer's Supreme. That'd be nice to play. So Legion wants to find a physical icon so we can go infinite with Legion. We discard a physical, we heal before the consequential comes in. The toughness is a bit awkward. We don't have a place to use containment strategy. Stepping Disc puts a magic card on top of the deck. Just checking. Not really great. So we can play that, but we could put Soul Sword on top, I guess. That's kind of silly. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think we do play Prof X here. We do 1-2. Exchange for Prof X. Prof X enters play. Only stay for 1 round. So we might actually still block with our own face because we do just get better value from that. Comes in ready. We can either stun, confuse, or ready an X-Men. I think we're just going to confuse Vulture. I don't want to confuse Dr. Octopus because we're pretty close to defeating Dr. Octopus. I think we'll just use Prof X to clear this down to 1. We can't do the sides game. Okay, top of the deck is a mental. We can just play that. That's fine. I think we will play it. So we'll just throw out a containment strategy to play Sorcerer Supreme. We have +1 hand size. That costs us 1. Top of the deck is now Genius. Not great. We can put the Soul Sword on top. I think we really want to set up the top of the deck with a physical, but I don't think we can. Let me just slide these over. So I'll pitch Riposte for the Soul Sword. So we found all our upgrades finally. This gives our basic attack piercing, which is nice against the tough life side decoy. And if the top of the deck is what we want it to be, it gives us a +1 attack. Well, Stepping Disc now for the exchange. So we ready ourselves and then we have to put a card on top of our deck. That is a magic card. So we have to put the Stepping Disc. We can't choose not to. So this doesn't have the icons exactly that we want. I think Legion here is looking for a physical. We'll start by attacking for 1 with piercing. So that takes 4 in the toughness. Threat seems okay here. We can definitely use Colossus. Life-size decoy will take 2 retaliate damage, so it's not massively important. I think we will still attack with 2, so it gets out of the way. That seems fine. We'll pass. We're definitely going to block here. I don't think we're going to block with Prof X. We're going to use Prof X in an emergency, but we definitely want to use our double Hard to Ignore and our Unflappable. 6 hand size. 1, 2, 3. We got to close this game out. 4, 5, 6. Great. We have a preemptive strike. Top of the deck is a Spiritual Meditation. I think here we're going to limbo to swap the meditation for the preemptive so we can play it cheaply, and Vulture can take some damage here. We also have an energy on top. This goes to 2. Vulture's going to attack for 2 in a card. We're going to block here. We have a ready, so this is fine. We're blocking for 2, 4, 5, 6. Top card has 3 boost icons, so for sure we're going to play preemptive strike. This cancels the icons and does the damage back to Vulture, so Vulture takes 3, so 7 goes down to 4. We take no damage, so we're going to do a bunch of things. Firstly, retaliate 2. We're going to draw a card. We're going to remove 2 threat, and then this will slide down. Okay, now life-size decoy attacks. It defeats itself to retaliate 2. We draw 1 encounter card. Heightened morale. Okay, the last one of these, I think. This is attached to the villain with the highest activation order. I think high is big number. They get +X, which is the number of villains. So Vulture hits a bit harder, but I don't think Vulture's going to be around for that much longer. Being not around for much longer, Prof X leaves at the end of the round. Okay, here we should just definitely focus on closing the game out. We don't have access to a damage attack. No, we don't. Clear the area is a bit awkward. We have all these resources. We'll start by meditating. We need to find our soul strikes. So draw 2. Clear the areas for days. We'll discard a card. Guess we'll discard clear the area. Meditation again. Draw 2, discard 1. Jocasta's not bad. Soul Strike off the top is perfect. We'll discard. I don't think we're going to play Jocasta. So if we defeat a Vulture, we remove 4 threat. If we defeat a Dr. Octopus, we'd rather defeat the Vulture, I think. Top of the deck is a mental. Oh, we could have interrupted that at some point with Legion if we had the right stuff on top. So I'm going to just attack with Colossus. For 2 damage, defeating Vulture. We remove 4 threat from a sides game. So this goes down to 9. I think we're going to defeat all the villains here. And now here from the top of the deck, we're going to do exchange for Soul Strike. This says deal 4 damage to an enemy. So we defeat Dr. Octopus. And now the text on Dr. Octopus, we get to do the bottom text. That says remove 7 threat instead. There's no other villains in play and there are no other villains. So this goes from 9 to 2. I think we actually want to clear this. So we will line this up. I do think the backside is not great for us, but this is a perfect time to do clear the area. So we'll do clear the area into clear the area. Actually, I guess we'll X-Jet into clear the area. The top of the deck, we did play it. So that's going to be an exorcism. So clear the area, we'll clear the light at the end and it'll draw us a card. So let's see what's on the back of this. The front side we finished says when this last threat is removed, resolve the ambush ability. So we'll have a villain in play, which is good. We would have got one anyway, so we don't lose value here. And then flip this card. So again, Sinister Beatdown says pick a random villain. So 1 to 6. It's 5. That's Scorpion, 10 health, big guy. Choose a random villain and place the activated counter on it. In expert mode, place 2 threat on light at the end. I'm assuming we're still flipping, so what happens to that threat? It gets added to this thing, but then when you flip, do you clear the threat? I'm assuming when you flip that you clear the threat. Let's just say you don't. I'm not sure what you're meant to do there. So we'll flip this over to the other side, and this is how you get out. As I expected, this has bad text on it, but this side now says permanent hinder 10. So it's going to have 17 on it. Technically, it might just be 15. I'm not sure. 15, 17. This draws another encounter card every phase. That's bad. And the players cannot win unless the last threat is removed from the scheme. The players escape and win the game. So all we have to do is clear this, which hopefully isn't that bad. We do want to hit our thresholds for victory. I don't know what the big thresholds are. We're going to deck out, so we're going to get an acceleration icon. So we definitely want to clear this. Scorpion's going to be attacking for a lot. I think we'll start clearing it. So we're going to do strength for exorcism. Remove 4 threats. So this 7 goes down to 3. We can confuse the Scorpion. Not the best target, but it's the only guy there. Then we're going to do double into, I think we just go for threat. So I think we're going to do clear the area for stepping disc. That readies us, puts a magic card on top of the deck. So we're going to go ahead and just put another exorcism on top. Oh, we can't play it. That's fine. We're ready. The top of the deck has an energy on it. So that doesn't actually help any of your stats here. Is this the card that we want to put on top? I guess we can't play it no matter what it is. That's fine. This was not a great play. Then we'll just do 1, 2, 3 for Polaris. Do we have a physical icon? Yeah, maybe we'll put a physical icon on top if with a magic card, because we just want to discard it to heal. Unfortunately, we have none. So if we did Polaris first, yeah, we'll do Polaris first. And when we play Polaris, we'll discard the spell and put the magic barrier on top of the deck. And that means we can use Legion to heal. So when Polaris comes into play, excuse me, comes in with 3 health, and give toughness. I think we're going to give it to ourselves just in case we take a massive attack. Polaris comes into play. And now we're going to attack or thwart with Legion. So when Legion thwarts, we'll take 1 off of this. It says then, after you use a basic power, discard the top card of your deck, we'll discard this. So it brings up 2 health, and then we take a consequential. Here, Polaris will attack for 2. He's a bit better at that. And then we will attack for, we'll scheme for 2. So we have a mental on top. We'll pass. So we have a bunch of blockers, which is good. We're drawing 2 encounter cards, which, wait, we used to do that back in the day. We'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4. Preemptive is good, 5. Venom, 6. Top of the deck is a Soul Strike. We can either put a preemptive or a riposte on top. We can easily defeat Scorpion if we play both of them, so I don't think it matters too much. I guess we'll put the riposte because we're definitely going to play it. We might not play the preemptive, so we're going to use Limbo there. All right, this goes to 1. Scorpion's going to activate for 3 in a card. We are going to fast. No, yeah, now we're going to block. As much as we have a toughness, we still just want to do as much damage as we can. So we'll play from the top of our deck a riposte, revealing a magic barrier. Riposte says when we block, get +2 block. If we take no damage, do 3 damage back. So we're blocking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Scorpion's attacking for 3 in a card. It has 2 boost icons on it. Ooh, notably, at this point, the deck did deck out. So before we do any more shuffling back, we'll shuffle this monster. That means there's a whole bunch of scheming cards in here. So that gets an acceleration. In a response to that, we will play the preemptive. So in response to this, when we reveal this card, we'll X-Jet for preemptive, which cancels the 2 icons and does the damage back. So that drops to 6. We probably want Unflappable here because I don't think we want to draw another encounter card. But we take no damage here, so we do 3, 4, 5. So that drops Scorpion down to 1 health. This doesn't move anywhere because we can't. Here we'll use a hard to ignore to clear 1 threat off of this, but we won't use Unflappable because I don't want to draw another encounter card at this moment because I think we can maybe win this round if we play it really perfectly. Okay, then we draw 2 encounter cards because we have the icon here. First encounter card is from every direction. Okay, this gets Surge. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for every enemy in play, so that's only 1. Second counter card, Heightened Morale, so that attaches the Scorpion. Art is fitting, and Scorpion just attacks a bit harder. Not a big deal. Last card. Oh, Scorpion attacked for 3. Yeah, we blocked for more, so we don't have to lose the toughness. We have Frequent Flyers. Okay, so this one's going to bring in some friends. So in expert mode, this card gains Insight 1, cannot be canceled, so that goes to 2. Put the set aside Hobgoblin and Vulture into play, and we don't move the counter. Okay, so Hobgoblin is 3, I believe, and Vulture is 6. So we have 2 more villains in play. I do think that there is a campaign text that based off of the amount of villains left in play when you win this scenario, they follow you. So we actually are incentivized as much as I don't want to push our luck too much to defeat all the villains. So Hobgoblin comes in with 9 health, Vulture only comes in with 7. But yeah, there's like rough versions of them as minions that follow you into the final scenario, and I don't think we want those. So we probably have to decide to deal with all of them. Again, when we defeat Scorpion, we remove 4 from here. That seems okay. Scorpion is still the active, and that's back to us. Okay, we're adding 2 threat a turn. The top of the deck is a magic barrier. Stepping Disc gets us access to everything, including Colossus, which might be worth something. We definitely want to do 1 damage at a minimum to Scorpion. So I think Legion does that. Yeah, I think Legion does that. Do we want to change the top of the deck? Maybe. I think here we want to play Stepping Disc before we flip, because otherwise we'll have no cards in our bin. So here we have full choice of what to get with Stepping Disc. So I'll pay 1 with X-Gene to play Stepping Disc. So then we put a card on top of our deck. So it could be Colossus. I don't think that's super necessary. I think we'll just do burst damage because we need it. So this will set up a stun as well. We'll put Soul Strike on top of the deck. We can now play the top of the deck -1. So we will... Oh, we don't have that many resources in our hand, huh? Maybe we should have drawn a card. So play the Soul Strike for 1. So we'll throw out Venom. Soul Strike will be targeting, I guess, Vulture. This does 4 damage. The top card is physical. So 7 drops down to 3. We get the stun. The stun's not good because that means we won't do retaliate damage. So actually, it might not be the best target for this. It probably isn't the best target for this. So we'll actually do it to Hobgoblin instead. So Hobgoblin goes down to 5 with a stun. We play the top of our deck. We'll now attack with Legion into Scorpion. So that defeats Scorpion. So Scorpion's defeated. This goes on. When you defeat Scorpion, we can remove 4 threat from a side scheme. This goes down to 6. Again, if this is defeated, we just win. So we could choose to win this turn. We're going to try not to. After Legion activates, we can choose to discard the top card of a deck, which we will. And as soon as we do that, heals 2. So it goes to 3, takes 1 consequential. We get another encounter card. Our board control is pretty good. I think we can knock out Hobgoblin. We want to make sure that we don't get spread it out. Like drawing a Dark Designs on the last turn would be a disaster. So we're going to do a bit of work into Sinister Beatdown as well. We probably lose Colossus here. We have enough blockers. We have a tough, so I'm not super concerned. We can block and then toughness will be our second block. Top of the deck is a containment strategy. Not useful at all. Only permanent schemes here. So the last thing we can do is probably a Soul Strike for 4 damage. And then we can defeat with Polaris. I think we will do that. So we're going to pitch 2. Oh, we'll pitch 2 for the last Soul Strike. The top doesn't line up. We'll just do 4 damage to Hobgoblin. So the stun was useless, but that's fine. Now we're going to score 2, clearing this with Colossus. Here's the bin. We'll get him back. We find a Stepping Disc. Polaris will attack for 1, defeating Hobgoblin, which removes 4 threat from here. And that's everyone. We'll pass. Going to 6. 1, 2. Stepping Disc. Nice. Venom's back. Stepping Disc is back. Riposte is there. A preemptive, so that's a lot of damage. Top of the deck is a Magic Barrier. Okay. So we have to decide with Limbo whether we want to do something here. I think we can knock Vulture out. Oh, we should flip these down if they're defeated. So I think we will always play Riposte. So if that's the case, we'll do the same thing where we Limbo the Riposte on top of the deck. Main scheme goes up 2 because of the acceleration icon. We're going to draw 3 encounter cards, which we have to be a bit careful for. Vulture is attacking for 2 and a card. We will exhaust the block. We will Riposte from the top of our deck for free, revealing another energy icon. That's nice. And so Vulture is attacking for 2, 3, and this has text, coordinated effort. This is place 1 threat on each scheme. In expert mode, place 1 additional threat on the main scheme. So this goes to 3, this goes to 4. That's scary. Decide to do 1 damage back by playing Preemptive Strike. Currently, we're going to do 5 damage, so this doesn't change the math. So we take no damage here because Vulture's attacking for 3. So we fire all our triggers. We didn't take any damage, so we do 3, and we have Retaliate 2, so that's 5. We can draw a card because we didn't take damage, and we can take 2 threat off. So we could actually just lose here if we get unlucky by getting something that schemes. And if that happens, I will be so heartbroken, but such is the life of a solo player. Okay, we're drawing 2 more encounter cards. We probably could have just gone out. First card, Niches gets Stitches. This just gets Surge because Venom is not in play. Next card, Exhaustion. Okay, we're already exhausted, so this just gets Surge. Still drawing cards. Witchfire. Okay, that's cool. So Witchfire, this is from our Nemesis set, comes in with 4 health. Quick Strike, after Witchfire attacks and defeats an ally, place 1 threat on Ruler of Limbo, otherwise 1 threat in the main scheme. I don't think we're going to block. We can't. I don't think we're going to block with an ally. We actually could have considered Magic Bearing to defeat Vulture. That might have been a lot better in hindsight, but I think we're going to get, as long as we get through this phase, we're fine. All right, so Witchfire is now attacking. Quick Strike, 4 health. I don't think we're going to block. We have a lot of health padding, so Witchfire is just going to attack us for 3. The toughness comes off. She's dropped down. Retaliate 2. By fashion, more villains. That's really bad. This gains Insight 1, so this goes to 3. More villains is really rough because we won't be able to defeat all of them if we want to advance. As soon as we kill a villain, I think it's not necessary. The when defeated, actually no, when defeated is not an optional, right? Now put the set aside Electro and Craven into play. So have we seen both of these? I think Electro is 2, Craven is 4, excuse me. So they just come into play. If Craven the Hunter is already in play, discard the lowest. If Electro is in play, discard the highest. Okay, so these both come into play. One has 9 health, the other has 8 health. Thought we got rid of all the villains, we haven't. So just like spawning that much more health on a single turn, especially on the turn that we thought we would advance, is not very good for us. So that's 9. Our last card here is Sinister Strike. That's actually really good for us. Well, yeah, that's good for us almost no matter what. So place 1 pursuit counter. We're 1 away from Nemesis again. It says the active villain will attack. So Vulture's going to attack for 2 in a card. No matter what, Vulture will be defeated to retaliate. Now Vulture's text could matter here, which forces us to discard a card from our hand. It's our choice, so I don't think that's that bad. So the most we could take here is 5 damage, but this actually will win the game. Is when defeated optional? Ugh. This will just win the game, and then we'll have 2 of these minions in front of us, these villains in front of us, which means they have to follow us, which it's not going to be good. Let me check if when defeated is optional. There's like no chance when defeated is optional. I'm assuming that's forced. It'd be silly for it not to be, which means we actually want to consider blocking with an ally so that Vulture isn't defeated to retaliate. If we look at our hand, we want to defeat the minion at a minimum, but I think at this point, going to the last scenario, how much experience we get probably doesn't matter. It's a nice little challenge, but the next big breakpoint is that if we can search for a helicarrier, if that's the case, we want to get at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 XP. Currently, we have 1, 2. If we don't die, that's 3. No threat on the main scheme, we can maybe do that's 4. No minions in play, we can maybe do that's 5. No side schemes, that's 6. So as long as we get 5 reputation, we're happy, and I think we're on track to do that. The bigger thing is I'm pretty sure if you don't defeat these villains, they follow you into the next scenario, and I want to avoid that. So no matter what, we should be able to get out of this. Oh, but there's no way to do it because we have to do the when defeated and it removes 4 threat from a side scheme. So whoever dies finishes this. So unless we can deal damage to all of them at the same time, we have to get rid of light at the end of the tunnel. If that's the case, we're just going to defeat Witchfire and then do light at the end of the tunnel and win, clearing off the Sinister beatdown. So I'm actually going to block here with Legion. The Vulture's attacking for 2 in a card, 3 boost icons. That's 5. Legion is defeated. Yeah, we're doing some reputation hunting here. I play on campaign mode, so this is what you want to do, I suppose. So all we want to do is defeat Witchfire, clear 3 threat, and then defeat Vulture, which should be easy. Vulture attacks, it goes on to Electro. All right, our discard pile, magic cards, we have Soul Strike, that ought to do it. We have Exorcism, that also ought to do it. I think threading is harder for us. So we'll X-Gene for Stepping Disc, reading ourselves. We'll put a magic card on top of our deck. It'll be Exorcism. Yeah, I looked into it really quickly. I couldn't find a card that says forced when defeated, but they might just write like Witchfire that just says, you know, forced do something when this is defeated. But regardless, I don't think it matters too much. All we're going to do is clear this up. So from the top of the deck, we'll play Exorcism for 1. Remove 4 threat from the main scheme. Clears that out. We technically can confuse somebody. We'll go ahead and confuse Electro. Polaris will attack for 2, defeating Witchfire and themselves. We're ready. We can set up a physical on top of the deck. No, we can't. That's okay. We'll just drop Venom for 4. And Venom will attack Vulture. Vulture's defeated. We remove 4 from this, and we get the light at the end. When this is cleared, we win the game. We got it. That was looking so bad. I was super ready to scoop on like turn 2 or turn 3. I think that's a weird thing with Sinister Motives, and you've probably seen that if you've been watching the series, is that it starts the worst. And before you can set up, the scenario is super set up. You're drawing 3 encounter cards, and you really have to get over that hill. But here at the end game, things were catching up with us. So let's see what we have to do in the campaign rules. So firstly, we have to remember that Kraven and Electro are still hunting us. That does come into play in the final scenario. That's regrettable, but I don't think there's a way we could have defeated them. Again, I think when defeated is forced. But if we look here into the campaign guide for a reputation track, I think we got enough. So we have 2 points in the victory display from Public Outcry and Brute Force Barricade. There's no side schemes in play, that's 3. We have the acceleration icon. No minions in play is 4. No threat on the main scheme is 5. No defeated identities. I believe that should take us to 6. Now that takes us from 16 all the way to 22. So we hit not the final breakpoint. We are 3 reputations short. That final breakpoint is really cool, starting with the symbiote suit upgrade. That means we're going to be able to search our collection for a helicarrier support and put it into play under control. So we start with the helicarrier. That's really nice. That is a free resource every turn. We like that setup. The beginning of the game is the hardest, it seems. Now we also, on 15, we hit the setup thing that says each player chooses a card from their deck and records the title of that card as the planning ahead section of their campaign log. And then when the beginning of the game, during setup, we search our deck and discard pile for 1 copy of that card in planning ahead, and we add it to our hand. Pretty sure there's a chance that the card will be X-Gene, but give me a while to think about that. I won't lock that in just yet. We also have to add another Osborne tech, and we have to start now with a side scheme into play, starting with additional threat on it. That might not be the worst because, again, with Public Outcry, we want to get minions and side schemes done. So at least we're starting with 1 minion and 1 side scheme, he says, confidently hoping that's good for us. Let's just pick our last Osborne tech real quick. We have 3 final options. We're going to go 1, 2, 5, 6. We'll just roll the die. It's 3. So we're going to add tracking display to the deck for their final scenario. Surge attached to the villain, 3 boost icons. Each character cannot defend against attached villains' attacks. Okay, that's really bad. Obviously, we're all about defending, and we're going to have to get rid of this as soon as it shows up. So we're going to have to exhaust a character and discard a random card from our hand. Might not be the worst. We can exhaust ourselves, or of course, an ally. That was Sinister Six. The final scenario is a Venom Goblin. A lot of people consider it to be one of the hardest scenarios in the whole game, and I kind of agree with them. I think our deck, we might have to make some small changes again. That scenario is about taking a lot of threat off of multiple main schemes. Venom can attack hard and constantly. The Venom Glider can show up, and that's a huge issue. So we have a lot of work cut out for us. But I do think the changes we made to make our deck into a perfect block deck did scale well with our wave bracers and the way the campaign kind of gave us cards. So that's a huge success. Thank you so much for watching. I know these are getting long, but these are absolutely epic fights. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I know I was really excited with that game, and we'll be back for the final fight against Venom Goblin. If you want to leave a like on the video, that helps a lot with the channel, and thanks so much for watching.